been a Bible verse that's been particularly meaningful to you in this season?
Absolutely. The one that comes to mind, I think, is Philippians 4. Um, I think specifically, I love Philippians 4, but 6 through 8 specifically talk about things that we already know, right? Mm-hmm. It talks about bringing your anxieties and your requests to God, and He will give you the things that you ask for. He will give you peace in your heart. It's such a good reminder, especially for me in this new season. Becoming a mom is by far one of the hardest, biggest life changes I've had to go through so far. And in that, kind of similarly to my point before, you kind of just lose all those foundational, those basics that you've always had, because this is a new challenge and it can really consume you. So I think these verses are a good reminder that the comfort, the peace, the wisdom, the joy that I need is there if I ask God for it.
I think it's sometimes hard to kind of remind ourselves that we may have to ask for it. I think sometimes we can assume, well, we're Christians, so it should already be there. And it's like, no, sometimes it can be absent, and we not only can, but are encouraged to often think about asking for it. And it's okay to ask for it in those difficult times. So that's a great Bible verse, and as a reminder to new parents that are going through those anxieties. And kind of talking about the anxiety of things being kind of difficult for you, is there something that's been particularly maybe a more surprising or challenging aspect of motherhood for you? And how has your faith helped to navigate you in those moments?
The most surprising aspect of me becoming a parent, I think, was how insistent I was that I did not need anybody's help. That was something that the Lord humbled in me very quickly. But I just remember I was too stubborn, and I thought that I could do it all on my own. And I realized how bad I felt when I was struggling, when early in our newborn days, when my son had problems eating. And so he wasn't eating, so he was always crying and never sleeping. And that took a toll on all of us. And I didn't want to be a burden to others, because I knew how badly I was feeling, being sleep deprived and all cried out and all these things. The reality is, personally, for me, I needed my village. I needed those people around me. I needed help. And I was just too stubborn to ask for it. So yeah, God really humbled me, and He was like, hey, actually, you cannot do this all on your own, and you don't have to. That's why I gave you people. That's why I gave you a church. That's why I gave you friends. That's why you have parents. Like, you have people that you need to rely on, and you can. So that was the most surprising and challenging aspect of being a parent so far. I'm still pretty new at this game, but that was crazy. I did not think I was gonna be as stubborn as I was.
I think especially if you are the first in your friend group to become a mom, I think that's probably the most difficult. Even though my friend in my friend group is a new mom, she has a couple older friends that have become moms long before her. So she was able to, reach out and be like, how do you do this? What is happening? Help me, please. And I think even just, I'm grateful for kind of the guinea pigs of the moms in my friend group, because I've learned so much as a woman about being a mom and that whole process. And it's just been so interesting to me to see how strong of a bond even just a group of moms can become. When you go through something that life-changing together, it creates such a special group amongst women. And I'm just so thankful that you have that in your church and in your community, and you just have your parents so close. Your parents moved to be close to you, and that's probably a huge blessing, even to just have your mom to be like, how did you do it?
Yes, it was definitely needed. My parents, I told them for so long, please don't move, like please stay at your house where you are, but they were insistent. They were like, we are not going to miss our first grandchild, we're not going to miss you needing our help. And luckily, apparently I was a pretty difficult baby myself, so my parents already, like, they knew exactly what to do when they came over. And it is nice because even just during the day, they work from home, but I just come over to their house and just like bring the baby and hang out. And it's so nice, like when he's being extra fussy, or if I just need an extra set of hands really fast, they can just pop in. That's been such a great blessing. And I'm actually kind of glad that I went through all the difficult things with my son, because now I know really what to offer to my friends when they're going through a similar thing. Because I know that I was the stubborn one and I didn't want the help, and people were offering like, hey, do you want me to come over? And I was like, no. But now I'm going to be like, this is what I'm going to offer you. Yes. You can take it or you can take it, because I know what they're going to eventually have to do. So whenever the next girls in my friend group, whoever they might be, whenever they need that help during those newborn weeks, like I'm there. I'm ready. What do you need? You need me to cook? You need me to clean? You want me to stay overnight and take care of your baby with you? Like, I'm there. I'm with you. It's a village. It takes a village.
Good for you, Julia. Now, someone as deeply rooted in music as you are, how do you see your role as a singer evolving now that you're a mother? We talked a little bit about how your career has changed a little bit. So, and even going back to college, I know that you talked about your thoughts on performance music has changed just as a solo artist. I have very fond memories of when you did your senior recital and you did Tangled, right?
I sure did.
Which is my favorite Disney movie. And I remember just bawling my eyes out because it was so beautiful. And so you said that you look forward to going back to work someday, whenever that may be. How do you see kind of your new challenges and how you've learned to be a mom kind of helping you to transition into going back to a school environment?
I think my role as a mom now has really changed my view on being a musician. It was actually so funny because when I started working at that school, I was already pregnant, and so I was around all these kids, and I kind of learned how to corral young kids, you know, and like kind of just emulating what their teachers were doing to like relax them, get them to focus, how to kind of correct those not so nice behavior things without being a parent or like punishing them or whatever. So actually that was pretty eye-opening. I had not been around that kind of environment before, but I think my role as a singer, it has been constantly evolving. I think it always has. As I learn more things about myself and what I can do, my abilities, when I learn more about the industry of entertainment and what that has to offer, I always want to explore. I always want to learn. When I was in college, I was very convinced that I was going to be the next Beyonce and tour the world.
But you are.
Not quite. Maybe in my own living room, but that's about it. But, you know, as my career has changed since then, my career goals are also changing. And I really don't want to perform that much because performing takes time away from my family when I could be with them. I love performing, but even more so, I love being behind the scenes of creating music. I love learning how the industry works. I love production. I love writing and being behind the soundboard rather than being in front of it, being the performer. So I hope I still have opportunities to perform, but I also hope that I can do even more. I think my new career dream right now would be to work on a soundtrack for a Disney movie. I had a lot of professors in college that did that. And I think to be able to sign my name onto a big project like that would be a dream come true. And I think that my son could really appreciate that when he's a little older.
Yeah, something to look up to. I think that as he grows up, he's going to see an obvious appreciation for music in your household. And so even as you just reach for that goal, it's going to show him how, like we were just talking about, how Disney movies help us to reach for a goal no matter how impossible or difficult they may seem. And that's just going to instill really good values in him. So that's a great thing to reach for. Now, do you find that your faith, even throughout your life, has influenced the kind of music that you've wanted to create or perform? I know you said that you would love to do a Disney project someday, but has your faith ever influenced the kind of music that you wanted to create or perform?
I think yes. Even if the music I'm doing isn't specifically faith-based, I think that my choices are still a reflection of my faith. I was lucky enough that I grew up listening to a lot of different kinds of music, even just like in worship music generally, just very different, lots of different genres, very different types of vocalists. So the choices that I make when I'm writing music or singing are very influenced by what I heard in church and what I practice and in like the kids choir. And I think that everything that I do music wise is a reflection of my faith. And I really believe that every word that I sing, every note that I write down, it can be a reflection of my heart. For example, even when I'm teaching students at that studio, it was just kids. Like it wasn't like a faith-based organization or anything. It was really important to me that I treat them with gentleness and kindness and patience and all those fruits of the spirit that we're supposed to exhibit, even when they don't extend those same things to me. In that sense, my faith is just incorporated into everything I do. My daily routine is just showing others through my actions or through what I sing, shows them what God is, shows them how Jesus affects me in my life. So my hope is that people see Jesus through the way that I present myself, whether that's in a teaching aspect or whether that's on stage when I perform or writing stuff down. I hope that everything that I do is a reflection of that.
That's great. And kind of continuing the connection with the school environment and your music passions, according to a study published by the American Psychological Association, which I will link in the show notes in case you want to read it, high schoolers who take music courses actually score significantly better on exams in certain other subjects, including math and science, than their non-musical peers. So, as someone who is in the music education field, how are you seeing music impact the lives of your students outside of class?
Absolutely. I have definitely seen this happen. Unfortunately, I did not get the good math music gene or whatever. Like
me neither.
I'm not very good with math, but I do see during my time at that school specifically, my students that really get into it and get engaged with the curriculum, they really do score well on testing in every other subject too. It's so crazy to see the trend of the numbers go up. I think music forces you to just focus on something else for a while and learn. Music is kind of its own language, you know. It's a certain way of writing it down, certain way of hearing it, certain way of expressing it. And these skills that they learn in music class with me can also be applied to these other subjects and just kind of force you to like switch the way that you think a little bit. And I see this especially with my kids that play instruments, because that's furthering their music education and they have a deeper knowledge of music, a deeper knowledge of their instrument. And so I really encourage all my students to pick up literally anything, any instrument at all. It just really helps to exercise your brain and helps you to realize what you can achieve. I think back to when I was in elementary school and their age, and I thought music was really hard, and I thought that singing was all that I could do. In reality, it just takes practice. And when you are sitting in math class, you don't want to practice if you are bad at it, right? You don't want to sit there and grind out equations because that's hard and probably sometimes boring. And so you kind of do the same thing with music, right? Music is a muscle. You have to work it out if you want to get better. So it's very much the same thing. I'm sitting with my kids in my ukulele class, and they're working really hard to learn this little song. And I'm like, this is exactly the same thing as working through your spelling flashcards. It's exactly the same. You have to sit here and grind it out, or else you won't get better. But I think music also is just a lot more fun than spelling and math and language and things.
Is.
So I think music class is a little bit of a break for them mentally, and then they can kind of reset a little bit better.
Totally. You think it's a break, but in reality, it is truly helping you, like you said, to build those skills out in other subjects and in other classes, and even just social skills as well. I'm so thankful that I was a band kid because of what it taught me, even in just a public school environment, and how to get along with kids that are in your section. You're hanging out with these kids so often, and if hopefully these children do decide to continue their music education later on in life, they'll continue to get those social skills and educational skills that will help them later on in life as well. Now, the last question here, I want to ask you to speak to other new moms who are experiencing motherhood, who might be listening. How can they find strength and peace in their faith as they're going through this time of being a new mom?
New moms, the trenches are so hard, but God is bigger, and He knows your struggle. He knows how the darkness affects you, and He can pull you out. He is the only thing that can pull you out for real. I think in the really hardest parts of being a new mom or being a parent generally, faith is the thing that you can really rely on 100% of the time, Luckily for me, I have an amazing support system here. My husband has literally saved me so many times when I am losing control and I don't know what to do. My parents are here for me when they can be here for me, but when you are really feeling so alone, I hope, new moms, that you can be comforted in the fact that you're not alone. You will not have to do this all by yourself. God's gift to me of my son is really how He shows me that He loves me. And this baby that I have is going to be a vessel for God to work. And so when you're really in the thick of it, it's really encouraging, I think, to remember what this is all for, right? Mm-hmm. To remember that this baby is going to do the Lord's work. So relying on Him, relying on your faith, that's where you're going to find your strength and your peace, because you're not alone. God is always there.